Hello friends, I am Dr. Navjot Kaur Kamal. Today we shall talk about the basic of network security, part 1. We would cover what is network security, why we need network security, what are the different type of attacks and motives behind these attacks, core principle in designing network security. We would also understand what is intrusion triangle and its importance, and finally the summary. So let's start. Network security consists of the policies and practices adopted to prevent and monitor unauthorized access, misuse, modification or denial of computer network and network accessible resources, where Cisco states that it is any activity designed to protect the usability and integrity of network and data. In general, we can say that network security is the broad term which is used for the collection of tools designed to protect data during their transmission. But what is the need of network security? Why do we want this network security? What are we afraid of? So dear friends, if we look at the literal meaning of word security, it means freedom from risk and danger. And the network security implies to the process of taking physical and software preventive measure to protect the basic networking infrastructure from the risk of unauthorized access, hacking, viruses, worms, exploitations, breakdown, alteration, destruction or inappropriate disclosure. So there is always an emergent need of network security when we become a member of this huge internet with a motive to create a secure platform its users. There are various network protocols which lack network security. There are vulnerable operating systems which need to be addressed through patches, upgrades, and network devices can have vulnerabilities called holes which can be exploited. There could be serious weaknesses in the company policy that lead to security threats, and above all, there could always be the threat of accidents and natural calamities like flood, power failure, fire, earthquake, and may lead to loss of data. Sometimes, in spite of repeated testing during manufacturing, every software or hardware has some inherent flaws or vulnerability like bugs. For example, buffer overflow, where the number of bytes or character input exceeds the maximum number as allowed by the programmer in writing the program. Such vulnerabilities are always searched and exploited by cyber criminals. So we need a thorough security plan to evade all these threats. Dear friends, talking about threats, security attacks can be divided into two main categories: passive attacks and active attacks. Passive attacks only tend to observe or make use of information from the system but do not affect the system resources. So, a passive attack is one where the attacker only monitors the communication channel and may affect the confidentiality of the data, like in case of eavesdropping, that is act of secretly listening to the private conversation or communication of others without their consent, and sometimes scans for open ports. The second type of passive attack is traffic analysis. It refers to a process of intercepting and examining messages in order to deduce information from patterns in the communication, which can be performed even when the messages are encrypted. Wiretapping, it is an age-old method which relates to telephone tapping in earlier days. It refers to secret electronic monitoring of telephone, telegraph, cellular, fax or internet-based communication. There are port scanning, which refers to technique used to identify open ports and services available on a network host, which is usually exploited by hackers to target their victims. Then there is idle scan. It is a TCP port scan method, And as the name suggests, the scanner will use an idle host to scan the target host, where an idle host is sometimes referred as zombie, which is one which is not transmitting or receiving information. Scanning is accomplished through these zombies by sending spoofed packets to the computer to find out what services are available. Let's now talk about active attacks, which can be described as an attack in which the attacker is actively attempting to cause the harm to the network or system. An active attack is a network exploit in which there is not only an unauthorized access, but data is also modified, altered, and there is also creation of false data streams. There could be viruses, trojans, spyware, denial of services attacks, man-in-middle attacks, masquerade, session relays, etc. Where virus attack is an active attack, it is a malicious code that replicates by copying itself to another program, computer boot sector or document, and changes how a computer works. Trojan are the active malware threats. These are the programs which look friendly programs but have hidden instruction enabling it to carry out a malicious act such as capture of password, deleting files, activate other malwares hidden on your system. Spyware is a type of malicious software or malware that invades the device without the knowledge of end user and then steals sensitive information and user internet history and transmit it to the advertisers, data firms or external users. Whereas denial of services attack, it is a denial of services to its intended or legitimate users. Means an intended user are not able to access these services which they are authorized to. For example, you are filling an online application. At the last date, the attacker sends so many requests or overloading to the server that is unable to handle those requests and crashes. Man-in-the-middle attacks, as the name suggests, you could imagine such attacks where an intruder is sitting in between the client and server, or you can say user and the web server, and intercept communication between two parties and secretly relays and possibly alter the communication between two parties who believe that they are directly communicating with each other, or may commit identity theft and misuse the information for other type of the frauds. Masquerade is again an active attack which means deception and impersonation. So, in this type of attack, attacker pretends to be an authorized user of a system in order to gain access to it or to gain greater privileges than he is authorized for. Modification of message. It means that some portion of the message is altered, that message is delayed or reordered to produce an illicit effect. Session replay. It involves the passive capture of the message and this valid data is retransmitted or delayed to produce a desired effect. Then repudiation. This attack is either done by sender or receiver, where the sender or receiver denies later that he has sent or received the message. Let us now understand what is the motive behind all these attacks. There are perhaps many different motives behind such attacks, but most commonly are for financial gain, revenge, or some are doing just for fun. Most intruder attempt such network attacks for some rewards or personal gain. Other could attempt it out of revenge, who have some personal grudge against some person or organization. The third category of attackers are doing such attacks just to satisfy their technical supremacy or just to show off among their peer groups. And some people attempt hacking attacks as a part of their recreational activity. Dear friends, all these attacks can be executed by an insider or outsider. Insider means who is authorized to use such services from a system but misuses the data for his malicious intent. Like an employee working in highly confidential defense organization gets access to confidential data but misuses it for his personal gain or under revenge or maybe under pressure. Such users can even sabotage the data and even ask for ransom for the same. An outsider is generally a person or an user on the network who tries to get unauthorized access through vulnerable location or security holes. After knowing about various types of attacks, let us see how network security is planned. What is the core principle to design an ideal network security? So, the core principle behind a successful network security plan is confidentiality, integrity and availability, known as the CIA triad. Dear friends, sometimes the term network security, information security and computer security are frequently interchangeably used, but all of these are interconnected and share a common goal, that is to protect the confidentiality, integrity and availability of information. Where confidentiality means we want to maintain the secrecy of our data. No one should intercept or steal it during transmission, means it should be read only by its intended user. Dear friend, if I wish to send a letter to Mr. X with highly confidential marked on its envelope, that means only Mr. X should read the content of the letter, nobody else. Similarly, in networking, confidentiality is maintained with high priority. Integrity means our data should reach to its intended user in the similar manner as it was sent. So, there should be no manipulation, no modification during the transmission. Data manipulation is usually addressed by using cryptographic techniques, by using appropriate algorithms and keys. The third concept, that is availability, means it should reach to its destination on time or timely access to information. Sometimes we make our data so secure that it slows down its accessibility, like if we apply high level encryption, which needs more data and high bandwidth. It would surely affect the accessibility or availability during the transmission. It would surely affect the accessibility or availability during transmission. Other than the CIA triad, the network security also has to ensure the authentication, access control, repudiation and privacy of the data. The authentication service is concerned with assuring that the communication is from the source that it claims to be. Information between two relevant identities is being exchanged. Access control is the protection of information resources or services from the access or more precisely by unauthorized entities. To achieve this, each entity trying to gain access must be first identified or authenticated, whereas non-repudiation is a security measure to guarantee that the sender of the message cannot later deny having sent the message and that the recipient cannot deny having received the message. It is a legal concept which provides proof of origin of data, like required in some threatening anonymous or spoofed emails. It includes repudiation of origin or NRO, that is the proof that the message was sent by the specific dispatcher, and non-repudiation of recipient, that is NRR, that is proof that the message was received by specific recipient or addressee. Like in physical world, you send a registered post so that a recipient cannot deny that a letter is being delivered. Similarly, in networking, the concept of digital signature provides non-repudiation, where signer cannot deny that he has signed a message. For email non-repudiation, There is concept of email tracking where sender cannot deny that he has sent the mail. There are also mechanism of time stamping and confirmation services where the data privacy refers to authorize an individual to maintain the right to control that what personal information can be shared and with whom. Like you usually set privacy for your profile picture or status in WhatsApp, data privacy also authorizes the user to exchange message without anyone else seeing them other than the intended user, or how to send message anonymously. So there are various measures to protect the user privacy on internet. For example, email, browsers and your chat on social messaging are encrypted to ensure privacy. Nowadays, various applications ask for location or in your mobile you enable the location tracking capabilities, which are increasing the problem related with user privacy. So, dear friends, a good network security plan should have a proper balance of all these factors we have just discussed. Let us now move on and study the concept of intrusion triangle, or infamously known as crime triangle, a concept more related to law enforcement agencies, crime prevention, cyber experts, which explains certain essential components for a cyber crime to occur. Very important for you to know to plan a good networking system so that chances of intrusion can be minimized. The three legs or components of triangle are motive, means and opportunities. Let us see what does it mean. Motive, like any other conventional crime, an intruder must have a motive to break the security of your network. Like we discussed earlier, it could be financial gain or revenge or just for fun or enjoyment. Remember, this is always the prime concern for law enforcement and investigating agencies, because without proving the motive, it is very hard to prosecute and accuse. Means, the most conventional mean of cybercrime intrusion is computing device and internet. And through the knowledge of intrusion software, one can attempt hacking attacks and can breach the security of your network. In present scenario, with economical computing devices and different option for internet packages, this technology is in the hand of everyone. So we have minimal control to restrict the means for an intruder to commit crime. The third component of intrusion triangle is opportunities. An intruder is always in search of opportunities to enter into the network, either because of the flaws or holes in the network, or because of the inherent bugs in software, or maybe due to our negligence or ignorance. The intruder gets opportunity to access the network. An intruder can have this opportunity at physical level, where he is able to physically assess the system, or he can have it at the technical level, like in absence of updated antivirus or absence of firewalls, or when your system is not configured or updated. It gives a golden opportunity for an intruder to attack. The best thing we can do is to minimize the opportunities to intrude. This will force the intruder to evade its path. Or you can say this is the only opportunities which could be controlled by a network administrator to minimize the attacks, because you cannot have control over somebody's intention or motive. You don't have any control over the means, because as discussed, means are easily available and programming knowledge is also freely available. So we can only have check on opportunities, which we attain by using different security measure, which we will discuss in our next module. So dear friend, let us summarize. With the rise in cybercrime, network security has become a prime concern for an individual, organization or a network administrator. which refers to protecting computer systems for unauthorized access, damage, modification or destruction. These vulnerabilities can exist in a broad number of areas, including devices, data, applications, users and locations. For these reasons, there are many network security management tools and applications available that addresses these threats. A good network security system reduces the risk of falling victim of data theft and sabotage, protects your workstation from harmful spywares, and also ensure that the shared data is kept secure. It is very important for network administrator to be updated with new technologies to ensure that their systems are secured to the best extent. So, in the next module, we would concentrate on multi-layer approach to ensure network security. Till then, be safe. Goodbye.